Welcome back to the X-Files podcast. This was the season finale, or possibly series finale? Dun dun dun. This is My Struggle 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That really is called.
It's just called My Struggle 2. Well, not the Electric Boogaloo part, but it would be great if it was.
I just didn't know it was really called My Struggle 2.
It's just My Struggle 2, yeah. So yeah, you're...
2.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I guess I didn't get that it was the Hitler reference before, when I thought it was very simplistic. So you were really impressed with this finale, were you?
I mean, it annoys me that they did a cliffhanger, I guess, without already having the deal for another season a little.
Well, I don't know.
I'm
pretty
like
confident that
happen,
they will.
And then that's the end of the series. I hate when it's just... Well, we hoped we'd get another one, but we didn't.
I'm pretty confident they will, and even if they didn't, they could do another movie, you know, if they wanted to.
But I just wish they had already had it signed for another season before this.
Well, maybe that was the point of it, you know, do the cliffhanger and then people want another season.
That's why other people do it sometimes too, and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, they could do another Oh, by the way movie.
Series full, yeah. Do another movie where there's another pedophile priest with psychic powers.
They could do another president joke.
That's the only thing. Otherwise, I mean, I like the episode. I would rather that you have a guaranteed continuation than you do a cliffhanger.
Yeah. This was all right. It was better than, like, the pilot, because they had less info dumps, but they still had quite a bit of dialogue dumping going on.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Everyone seemed to speak overly proper, didn't they?
Yeah, there's a bit too much, we gotta do this. Alright, how do we do it? It's in my DNA, the alien DNA.
Well, I'm talking about, like, a lot of the dialogue from a lot of characters.
Where they were not being too emotional, and it felt there should be a little more than this kind of flat tone to it.
Well, what I'm talking about is, like, a lot of characters is speaking in speechy manners that are meant to be quotes on Tumblr gift sets rather than how actual people speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they had, like, the typical Scully speeching. You know, they did the callback to the beginning of the season where instead of Mulder, it was Scully with the pictures. And again, they're pictures where no one would be taking a picture at that moment.
Yeah, like there's pictures of her in the office with Smoking Man in the background. I was like, yeah, I'm sure. He's just, oh, yeah, make sure you get my smoke side.
Yeah, like, so many pictures
blow,
of Smoking Man.
Top secret in my smoke here.
Like, I mean, some of those were ridiculous. I don't think there were as many ridiculous ones like the Mulder one, where it was like, there's no way anyone would ever be taking a picture at that time, but there were still quite a few.
Were a lot of them, especially like one where it was like one of their early cases, and it's like the two of them in the woods looking at each other. Like, who took that?
That might have been from the pilot, actually.
Yeah, I think it was pilot, because her hair looked really like pilot Scully, I think.
Yeah, her hair was pretty distinct in the pilot. There were a lot of pilot pictures in there.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna love this. Probably Skinner again.
Well, there's a lot of ones, too, where it's like, it's very clear in the scene that there was no one there taking pictures. I mean, obviously they weren't thinking of that, but I mean, there's scenes like when she's first talking to her superiors in the pilot about going to meet with Mulder. You pretty clearly see their whole interaction there, and there at no point is there a photographer to take a picture. Like, why would there be?
Alright, guys, you're gonna want to remember this. This
is an iconic show, guys. You're gonna remember this for the pilot here. Yeah. There was not enough Skinner. He didn't do anything in this last episode. Was he even in it?
He called.
He called, but was he actually... Did they actually have Mitch Pileggi, or was it just his name on the phone? Because I was expecting him to do more in the last episode, like, you know, like in the pilot and then the last one, because it's a mini-series, they can't afford to pay as many people, you know. But he didn't. It just seemed like, alright.
Yeah, No Skinner, that's shit.
But we did get Reyes.
Yeah, and I don't know about that.
I didn't mind it. It just.
I don't like the idea that she just decided to hang out with Smoking Man for years.
Well, I don't mind adding that to her character if it goes somewhere, and maybe they're planning on doing something with it, like, if they continue with another season or whatever, but there just wasn't a lot of it. I forgot that she was going to be in it, and I know that we knew and probably mentioned in the first podcast, but I forgot until she showed up. I was like, oh yeah, Reyes.
I like that when she's on the phone. I mean, I knew who it was, and Scully's like, "Who is this?" Like, I don't remember your name. Ugh, you just carried our show for a couple years, whatever.
Well, she didn't say what her name was, and it had been like a decade
Yeah,
since
but I
she'd
could
seen
hear
her.
her. I heard her, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, after a decade, you wouldn't expect to hear from someone out of the blue like that.
Yeah, she still might remember her voice.
It was for the audience.
OMG, who is this? Oh.
Again, this was like the pilot where it's like you really gotta pay attention to what they're talking about or you're gonna get lost, because it's not that they don't talk about it enough. It's just that there's just seas of dialogue, and that's really difficult when you have difficulty paying attention. It's really hard to try and follow something like that. But what I gathered is that this was something they talked about in the old series too, but like this has to do with the series finale of the original series where they were talking about the invasion, and the Smoking Man was talking about moving that date, so instead of 2012 it was now 2016, and there was people who were immunized with the smallpox vaccine were also given something that basically breaks down their immune system, and only a few people that have alien DNA are immune to this immune system breakdown that makes everyone sick, and that includes Scully. So they have tons of dialogue of her talking about her alien DNA, which sounds dumber and dumber every time she says it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and just constant back and forth with her and Einstein about it.
I wasn't expecting Einstein or the Mulder equivalent back. I don't remember what his character's name was.
They gave a lot more to her than a Mulder equivalent. It was funny though when because his name's Miller, but when he came to save Mulder, I thought Mulder called him Mulder for a second. It's like, did Mulder even forget? Like, oh yeah, this is pretty much clone younger me, Mulder.
It makes me think that maybe they were intending for like Reyes and Doggett to be doing these roles, but when they could only get Reyes, they decided to kind of do something different with her and use those other characters.
I don't know. I think is probably more the idea of if they do another series that they have younger people to go and do some of this stuff.
Oh, I hope not.
It's probably the thing. Like there'll be the four of them, I guess, but it's probably kind of like, oh, we can send them off to do some things.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be like this week. It's going to be these guys. I don't want it to be like a Reyes and Doggett situation again, where it's like, let's give them a vacation and have them do this. No.
That's what my guess is.
I hope not. I really hope not. Well, because, I mean, as supporting characters, I like Einstein. Miller, they gave a little more to this time than he did last time, but he still needs a lot of work developing as a character. Like, his character traits are not as strong as Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want them to, like, carry it, and they haven't demonstrated anything to prove that they could carry the show. Or carry episodes on their own.
That's what I think they're trying to subtly, like, kind of inch them in, and then the big surprise.
I hope not. That would be awful.
They do a full season. I mean, I won't be surprised if there's no episodes that mostly follow them.
You know, it'd be nice if they did another season. If they could bring the lone gunman back for realsies.
Yeah,
That'd be something.
That they. I don't know, they fucking were more smoke than men now, too. Like, stupid cigarette man.
Cigarette smoking man.
Man
Yes.
now. I have a fake nose.
I mean, it's so hilarious. His terrible plight that just keeps getting worse and worse every time we see him. And, we knew that he was blown up, but we got to see his post-blown up looks in the hospital. He's serving some looks. Wrapped up in
Jack
gauze.
Was supposed to be somewhere in this season. Was he just in that lone gunman scene too?
Was he? Audience, tell us. I don't remember if he was in that or not. I don't recall seeing him, but I guess that would be the only place. I remember seeing him listed in the credits.
I just remember thinking of that, because I just remembered, like, on IMDb it said he was somewhere in this season, and then we never saw him. So.
Yeah, I didn't notice him if he was in that scene, so...
Yeah.
But that's the only place I could think that he would be if he actually was. Otherwise, it was just some IMDb rumor that didn't happen.
Yeah, it could have been.
But yeah, cigarette smoking man got to come back and speech, and then gets to show his gross face. He takes off his Phantom of the Opera mask. The Phantom of the Smoking Man is here. His head cut off, but I think he's okay. Even though he's been decapitated.
It doesn't matter how much they kill him, he can return.
It's funny too.
They chop him into little pieces next time, but then like smoke reforms as him.
He is the smoke cloud from Lost.
Yeah,
smoke monster.
New smoke monster.
His thing with taking off part of his like face prosthesis, that's something they did with his other son, wasn't it? Spender? He had like face prosthesis because he was shot in the face by Smoking Man. Didn't he have a missing nose too?
He might have. He was just mostly like, I'm someone else being that character.
Was it someone else? It wasn't the same actor?
I don't think it was.
I remember the episode was they thought he was Mulder.
That's why they covered him up so much. Yeah.
Well, no, because he got his face blown off, and they had to explain how he was.
Part of the reason why they did it, though. Just like he's that.
Well, and also
so he could get away with someone else playing him.
Well, and the story called for him looking so different. Anyway, all right, we looked it up, and it was him. It was the same actor. See, that's just storytelling, Phelan. Sometimes they're not working around anything. I don't know, I mean, there was a lot of talking is really what I got from it.
That's just storytelling.
That's just storytelling. That's not working around anything. Cigarette Smoking Man has gotten Mulder to come to him because he wants to make an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah.
And so, that it's
the offer, though? What was he saying, like, in exchange for the cure?
I think he was just trying to get him to join him again and be evil.
Yeah.
He's always trying to get him to take his side on his throne.
Like, I only had the son I didn't like and had to shoot, and then,
you were always my favorite.
He's all ugly like me, so I don't like him anymore.
You knew when it starts, too. They always did this in the old series. Every time that something big is going to happen, Mulder disappears, and it's Scully doing a lot of speeches on her own. Like, why do they always have to separate them during the big events going on in their stories?
Yeah. I like that Smoking Man sent someone to give Mulder an offer, but all you see is him fighting that guy. It's like, I guess he didn't send the right guy to try and give him this deal.
Well, to be fair, I think Mulder initiated the fight because he broke in, but he didn't make a lot of attempts to try and tell him.
At no point does this guy say, I'm trying to tell you something. He just keeps trying to choke him to death.
Yeah, Cigarette Smoking Man doesn't have very good flunkies.
Yeah.
Ever since Krychek called in dead to work, he said to look for new guys.
They showed a bunch of the stupid guys from the dark, dimly lit room of old men. Some of the pictures in this one.
Oh yeah, why would they be taking pictures in there? That was like the most secretive old man newspaper reading society ever.
Guy blew up in the movie.
Yeah, with the well manicured man. I guess. Is that what his name was?
Might have been.
The Thin Man. Oh wait, no.
His stupid little nickname.
No one remembers any of the nicknames. What was the other guy? Fat, unintelligible man who who somehow survived the more charismatic characters.
Keep showing up just to piss you off.
I hated his voice. I hated it. Why am I still here? No one knows why you're still here, man. I thought you'd be the first one dead, and then you just stuck around forever. You were by far the most expendable old man who reads a newspaper. Like, they're acting like, okay, Smoking Man was part of this the whole time, and I guess he was, because he did talk about it, but it was like, he seems sort of like resigned to just living out in the middle of nowhere, smoking pot all the time, and growing long hair. Like, he didn't seem like he was kind of in the game anymore. And of course, he was supposed to be dead by the end of the series, but now that he's alive again, it's like he's like, oh, so he cut his hair and then decided he was going to be part of that again? Or...
Yeah. His finger on the button.
His hand looked pretty well intact. They had, like, the burn makeup all over him, but then his hand was alright.
He put his hand behind his back. It was fine.
Because he had his fingers crossed. Like, he's like, oh, there. Mulder and Scully, I'm totally on your side. Fingers crossed. Ah, I blew up!
It's like he was telling the missile he had a deal for it as it was hitting him. His fingers crossed.
Actually, what happened was, the Cenobites showed up, and then Pinhead was like, no more deals. And then Cigarette Smoking Man was like, but wait, what if I made a deal? Interesting. And then he made a deal with him.
Yeah.
Pinhead's not really very good at his job. Anyway, okay, so back on topic. What did you think of Joel McHale's role?
Didn't do that much in this one. This is mostly him doing his YouTube show going... Mind Quad.
The most popular video engine ever.
Yeah. And it's not YouTube. Oh no. Just all he did really was reiterate what was going on a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, and he had his, like, internet glitch thing going on.
Yeah. Like... It was starting to, like, just make his audio quality crap and then just, digital glitching a bit because he said, like, communication was being cut. It was like, what, so the internet's going out, but it's just doing that to you? Why isn't it just, like, making you go into a loady wheel or something?
Yeah. Unless he's supposed to be, like,
sense.
transmitting via satellite or something, but it wouldn't do that on...
Via satellite on his YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, if he was streaming, maybe, off of it. I have no idea. It seems suspect. It does not seem like this is how this should work.
His quality drop, and then he goes into a loady screen.
Yeah. I mean, I like Joel McHale. I'm kind of mixed on his role in this series, though, and it seemed like they tried to make him more important than he was, and all he did really was just info dump the same things that we've heard from everyone else.
I liked him better in the pilot of this season, I guess, than this one, just because I didn't feel like his character did that much. He had a more active role in the story the first time he was there. Here is mostly he's just like, anyway, so the stuff you've been seeing going on is going on.
Pretty much.
Like, I guess that's the equivalent of them when they do some stuff like that and they show the news talking about it. But
yeah, I mean, it could have been anyone. It didn't have to be.
It wasn't
character.
Terrible, I guess, but it didn't feel necessary all the time.
Well, I guess that's a lot of this pilot, though. It didn't feel like a lot happened, even though it was a global epidemic. I mean,
pilot?
Not this pilot, this episode. But, it just felt like, even though the story was really big, I don't know, it sort of seemed like it was half of an episode stretched to a full one. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, maybe, I don't know, if they'd showed more of the world panic and people getting sick, it might have worked a little better. It did feel a little subdued, even though it's supposed to be a global epidemic.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest scene was the last scene when Scully's going through traffic trying to get them, and there's all these pile-ups, and...
even still, that was like, they're stuck, like, in the middle of the city, and she still gets to them fairly quick.
Yeah, I mean, she was able to drive through quite a bit, considering how much traffic was built up.
Uh,
Maybe her car is about her size, very tiny. She can kind of weave her way through.
driving on the sidewalks. It is just like the scene of people run away from Scully driving up.
Mowing down
Ah!
pedestrians.
Yeah. I have time for this. Mulder's in trouble. Boo, 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 boo.
Yeah. There's a lot of medical speak, but which I did get, but again, it felt very repetitious. Like, they came to the conclusion that they have to use Scully's DNA
So
to
she
make a cure.
pees in the dam, and everyone's cured.
She makes out with everyone, transmits her DNA via saliva, saves them all. But it just felt like they could have came to this conclusion very quickly, and they sort of did. It's just sort of a lot of small little side turns to get to the same conclusion with her and Einstein.
I don't really understand though why she gets to Mulder and she's like, "Oh, he's worse. He needs stem cells from our son."
Yeah, well, that just seemed out of nowhere. I was like, all right,
Yeah, I was like,
so
"Wait, what?" Based on just looking at him slumped over in the car, I'm sure like a whole bunch of people in the world are in bad shape by now. I mean, there's people in the hospitals.
yeah,
Do they all need stem cells instead of just your liquid Scully?
yeah. You're gonna have to like chop up William and divide him among people, or
And then him showing up in that UFO at the end, like, what the fuck was that? And like, hey, hey, mom, hey, dad, it's Will.
William, you're a grounded, young man.
Uh, you be responsible with that spaceship, young man. No. Uh,
I worry that they're gonna fuck up this thing with William because one of the worst things that they do in shows is
he's gonna
child with chip on the
a
shoulder.
Connor.
Connor, yeah. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Child with superpowers. Super child
Yep.
who probably has a chip on their shoulder, long lost, grew up without them. I can't think of a single show I've seen that has not done this in the most fucking annoying way possible. They
Yeah.
did it like on Xena, they had the fucking annoying kid. On Angel, the fucking annoying kid. The stupid. They always have superpowers and they have this undeserved importance where you're like, you gotta build them up as a character. You cannot just say that they are important because they are the child of a main character. You still have to make them, as a character, important to us.
Hmm.
And they just think like, oh, because they are their child, that makes them important automatically. And like, there are important things about William emotionally to our main characters, and I guess physically now because they need his DNA. There are these things, but they still. I just worry they're going to make the character himself, his personality, his character traits just really annoying, and I hope not.
Yeah.
This is me pre-complaining. Who knows? They might do something cool with it. Who knows?
They're gonna find out Miller is William.
I thought about that for a second. And I was like, wait a minute, the age difference doesn't make. That would be dumb. Oh, but then a time jump. Oh, okay.
The aliens took him through time.
Yeah. Well, because of his alien DNA, accelerated growth. So yeah, what do you think like about them doing another season, other than the cliffhanger thing? Would you want to see another season regardless of that?
It's fine. I'd watch more of it.
Yeah. I think enough time has passed that they can do interesting things with it. I mean, this season there was some unevenness, but there was some really great stuff too that I think is fresh because of what time has passed.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a great cliffhanger, but it wasn't terrible either.
it's fine.
Like last episode was the worst. That was just a waste of a 6-episode miniseries. Was the terrorist plot?
Just if the like plot had changed, like the overall main plot, not just been terrorists, but it still had the Miller and Einstein thing, that would have been fine. I wasn't interested in that plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one it was pretty good. I mean, I liked parts of it, and some of it was just a little talky, I suppose. But overall, it's above average.
hmm Actually, okay, the Psychic Kid one was the worst one for me still, but the parts that were bad about the last episode were worse than that. It's just there were some good parts that made it better than that second one overall. But yeah, I mean, this episode was pretty good. It felt incomplete, and not just the cliffhanger. It just felt like they could have done more, and maybe if they
could have
had
used a little more spicing up, and then it would have been perfect, I guess, for this story anyway.
Yeah, it just felt like they didn't have enough of certain stuff, and maybe if they do a full 22 episode season, or even 13 episodes, maybe they'd have time and resources to include other things that we would have liked to see. You know, like have more supporting characters, or Monster of the Week
Skinner
episodes.
with a rave.
Skinner at a rave. We did get Honky Tonk Badonkadonk with him, and that was pretty spectacular. So, well, he was spectacular.
Need a live lone gunman. I don't care.
Yeah, they need at least, even if they weren't going to bring them to life, they need a better callback return with them.
Like that, whatever, who cares about that dumb episode where they killed them all?
Well, it would have been easy to pretend that they faked it with that one, too. It's not like with Cigarette Smoking Man, where you see his face obliterated in flames. Like, at least with them, it's like you could fake poison deaths. You could fake that. I mean, it'd take a little bit of finagling to get out of it, but that one is something that would be very easy to write out. As opposed to the 9 lives of Cigarette Smoking Man. What was even like, he's just like, hey Mulder, you should join me. And he's like, no. And he's like, well, I guess I'll just let you die. Yeah. Say goodbye to him for me.
Don't stain my carpet, Fox.
Yeah, I mean, he talked at him a lot. And then he just gave up pretty easy. And he's like, alright, well... Nice knowing
Where was Reyes during any of that? She was still just in traffic after her meeting with Scully.
Yeah, see, that was another thing why it felt incomplete, you know? Like, the Reyes thing didn't feel like there was any conclusion to it. It was a piece of something.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I've been working with him. Yeah. And then she calls her, like, a coward at one point, and it's just like, but wait, let me tell you more of the story. Okay.
I wish, like, even if it wasn't written that way, it seemed kind of like it, but either way, I wish that the stuff with Miller and Einstein had been Reyes and Doggett, because they were established characters that, other agents that helped them, and then it would feel more like you were a little more invested.
I wish Doggett wasn't stuck up in the tree.
He fell down a well, actually.
Hey! Classic Doggett.
His classic dispensing of monsters method of, hey, shoot! No nonsense, Doggett.
Yeah. Disgusted. Shoot it more.
See, that's the thing with them. Like, if they were there and they decided they wanted to do episodes with them in a new season, that would be alright. As an every once in a while thing, because at least they're established and they did carry the series for, a couple seasons, so you did have that.
Because they had to do it before, so it's okay now.
No, like, as an every once in a while thing, you'd be more invested in the characters versus, like, Einstein and Miller if they decided to just shove other characters in there, like a Murder, She Wrote situation.
What happened already. They did shove other characters in
there. They did, and it was annoying as fuck, because it was entire seasons, but, they at least did establish things with them that would make it less annoying.
They might, if they do it with the other two, I mean, I guess they would probably establish stuff with them.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to deal with that for that long.
Oh, I'm not saying I want it to happen, but I'm just saying it would be the same situation as that got you attached to Monica and Doggett at this point.
I guess at this point, it'd be better just not to do that.
Just don't be surprised if it happens when it comes back.
Well, what would be the point of that? Just to, have other characters...
What would be the point of that?
The last time it happened was because, David Duchovny was trying to do, a movie career type thing. He didn't want to be involved with the series as much. Gillian Anderson had a baby.
I'm not saying they would do a whole season. I'm just saying they would probably take the lead in some episodes.
I don't want it to be like a Murder, She Wrote situation, where it's like, did I tell you about my old friend? And then here's an episode about someone else. No! Backdoor pilot, Einstein and Miller.
This is
Yeah.
going too long. The end.
Yeah, I liked this. I'd like to see another season. I feel like, it was uneven a little bit, but overall the good episodes were really good. So, and it was more good than bad.
Overall, X-Files signal in the sky. Doodaloo.